co-created with Indigenous communities in water management. This was organized by Hecho por Nosotros, and for those of you who are not familiar with the organization, Hecho por Nosotros is a social enterprise that works closely with Indigenous communities at the base of the textile industry in Latin America. So we're super excited. We have an incredible panel of experts joining us today who will share their experiences, challenges, and opportunities on co-creating tools with Indigenous communities in water management, and also the role of traditional ecological knowledge in promoting sustainable water management. Our goal for today's discussion is to explore how we can work with Indigenous communities to promote sustainable water management practices while preserving their cultural heritage. And just to ask everyone, so if they can mute themselves, please, so we can avoid having echo. Thank you. Before we dive into our panelists' presentations, I want to invite Adriana Marina to provide a brief overview of our event's theme and objectives. Adriana is the founder of Hecho por Nosotros, and she will be speaking about water management in the textile industry and co-creating water management tools with Indigenous communities. Welcome, Adriana.
Hello, very welcome to this space of co-creation of Animaná and Hecho por Nosotros. I would like Paula to read one like a poetry in order to dive in this important moment we are all together and how we can reconnect with essential values and essential resources as it is water. Paula Ruiz, she is a collaborator of Hecho por Nosotros.
Hi, everyone. I'm not sure if you can see the quote in the presentation. If not, probably you will see it after in the chat. So this is a quote that Adriana sent me a few minutes ago, and it's really empowering, it's really important, and it goes like this. So it's about water, and it talks about how it flows on and merely fills up all the places through which it flows. It does not shrink from any dangerous spot, nor from any plunge, and nothing can make it lose its own essential nature. It remains true to itself under all conditions, and thus likewise, if one is sincere when it confronted with difficulties, the heart can penetrate the meaning of the situation. And once we have gained inner mastery of a problem, it will come about naturally that the action we take will succeed. So this is like a poetry and poetic resume of what we are doing today. Hope you like it. I will share it in the chat, and I will give voice to the rest of the team right now. Thank you, Adriana.
Thank you, Paula. We are in a key moment. We as human beings have all this enormous potentiality, this creativity. Sadly, we are not using it correctly. And when you go deep, we can find that this lack of connection with our own nature, with our own values, with our environment, with what we are water as well. And at the same time, we are like fighting against these enormous resources and potentiality. So at Hecho por Nosotros and Animaná, we took hands to propose collaborative and co-created solutions with all stakeholders, talking in a transdisciplinary, transnational, trans-age way, together, looking at opportunities about our resources, our nature, our creativity, and co-creating solutions. So we have 14 years, almost 15 years in this journey with Animana, that is a brand that works with natural fibers, artisans all across the Andes, Argentina, Peru, and Bolivia. This enormous and huge expertise at the grassroots, working hand by hand with different stakeholders, with micro, small, medium firms, with local youth, with indigenous people, medium firms, universities, stakeholders around the world, gave us a lot of tools and an opportunity to co-create and collaborate in this creative economy that we have to construct as human beings in this key moment. So water is such a precious resource, of course, is wisdom. As the beautiful words that Paula read, if we connect everything, all the solutions will be there, are here in ourselves, no? So how we begin using the different tools, technology, design, storytelling, all these tools, business, in order to integrate these value chains with a vision of holistic models. So for this journey of systemic change, Animana and Hecho por Nosotros has all this expertise and really understanding the lack of awareness. If we talk about fashion, that is an umbrella that we all, each of us, not being at the industry, but as consumers, every day we are the main actors of destroying our environment. This industry is one of the most biggest industry in contamination of water, in an inefficient way of using the resource of water, lacking awareness as communities and people that construct this industry in the base, how their ecosystem, their nature, their opportunities are totally destroyed. And this is not all. When we use these clothes of plastic, when we are part of this industry with this consumption, that is the biggest problem that we have, how consumption grows exponentially. And in this point, I would like to make a special point to all of us as youth, as consumers, as parents, as professionals. This industry is really destroying our earth and our health. And youth are captured by this propaganda in order to wear more and more clothes in a respectable way. So important to dive in integrating value chains to return to what are the roots of this industry that are artisans and micro, small, medium firms. Paula, if you can, or Gisela, can you put the ecosystem, the funnel? And listen their wisdom, their good practices, and integrate their circularity models, their way to relate with precious resources and resources that are totally collectively ownership, yes, how we can go together for co-creating these solutions. Hecho por Nosotros and Animana, we're gonna stay here. I don't know who is presenting, but okay. Okay, we finish. The importance of collaborative economy is in this disruptive system that we live, when local people, indigenous people, local social entrepreneurs and others, they create these valuable solutions, are not heard at the system. There are so many blocks yes, fragmentation. So how we can go to this integration of the value chains? How can we make a dialogue among the different technology, business, storytelling in hands of the grassroots to co-create these solutions? If we talk about textile and fashion, we really have to rethink our system totally. And the use of water in such an irresponsible way as it is today cannot be anymore. But we are all responsible. It's not the industry in front of us. Each of us, we have to make this journey of systemic change. Today, we are so delighted and enthusiastic about talking with so many collaborators around the world that challenge their life, that are totally committed with all this knowledge and these tools in order to create solutions and to share with the world. So I leave the word with Jimena. I would like to congratulate all the youth around the world that are part of Hecho por Nosotros with such a commitment and allowed us to co-create all this University of Systemic Change, the toolkit igniting regenerative and circular models through collaboration that is open to all stakeholders around the world. So the invitation is to enjoy these beautiful conversations that we will have, and we continue the dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you, Adri, for sharing these remarks and talking about the important work that Hecho por Nosotros does. And if everyone is interested in any of the information that Adri just mentioned or wants to know more about Hecho por Nosotros, please contact us and we will be happy to share this with you. So now let me introduce our esteemed panel of experts. Let's first welcome Craig Rothleitner. Craig is a director of RA Water Solutions, and he will be sharing about his experience and introducing himself. Welcome, Craig. You're muted.
Okay, so would you like me to do the speech now?
Yeah, just go ahead and introduce yourself and share a little bit of the work that you do at RE Water Solutions.
All right, well, look, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak and the invitation. It is greatly appreciated. I have a little short 2-minute presentation here that I would like to read to you all. It starts, oxygen and water are the two most critical components of life on Earth. Humans have, with determined ignorance, spent the last 100 years doing our best to contaminate them both to extract benefit.
No, okay, thank you. Sorry that the view was not okay.
Ah, okay. I will keep going. Thank you.
We're great. Yeah, just continue. Thank you.
Just continue? Okay. We have, with determined ignorance, spent the last 100 years doing our best to contaminate them both to extract benefit. The result, climate change and lack of water. But these are not humanity's only major threat. The rarely spoken topic of man-made water contamination and its devastating effect on global biodiversity, global urban water environments, and our ocean. Our ocean generates over 50% of the oxygen on Earth. It also absorbs 26% of carbon dioxide emissions and captures 90% of the excess heat of these emissions. As the lungs of the planet, it must be our #1 goal to protect it at all costs. Today, we know that over 30% of the ocean is dead, no longer producing oxygen or food, a percentage that grows daily. In my opinion, this makes the toxification, acidification, and deoxygenation of our ocean humanity's greatest threat. When we develop land in any way from its natural state, we create man-made runoff, which in some way contaminates the water. Due to lack of filtration capability, we are faced with what we call the three untouchables of water filtration at a global scale, being stormwater, agricultural runoff, and wastewater discharges. Currently around the world, every stormwater drain ever installed is open to the elements. All agricultural runoff is untreated, and over 80% of wastewater is discharged without treatment. RE Water Solutions have invested over 15 years to bring an economically viable solution to reverse the severe water contamination issues created by stormwater, with applications in agriculture and wastewater treatment currently being explored. We use less than 1% of rainfall in the urban environment. Now we can capture the waste and filter the water as it enters the drain, which opens up this massive source of free water to reuse opportunities, all using the existing infrastructure. We know we are not on track to meet the SDG water goals. RE brings us a step closer to proactively managing our water future. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing this, Craig. We're eager to hear more about stormwater and the important work that you do during the panel discussion. Now let's welcome Manuel Sauri and Catalina De Lucci from Proyecto Agua Segura. They will be sharing with us the work that they do. Catalina, Manuel, you can go ahead.
Hello, I think you have the video to present us.
Yeah, just a second.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if you want to, in the meantime, talk a little bit about yourself and Manuel, and then we'll project the video.
Okay, so I'm Catalina De Lucci. I'm the head of institutional relations from Agua Segura. Agua Segura is a B Corp company that develops water assets projects and nature-based solutions that have impact on water. We have been working in Latin America with several communities, indigenous communities and other big communities, restoring water and having wash workshops to reinforce water access for health and water quality for hygiene and sanitation.
Hi, I am Manuel Sauri, CEO of Agua Segura, and I am passionate about water. We have a video, no? Now or?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll share it in a second. Gise, I don't know if you want to go ahead and share the video. Thank you, Manuel and Catalina. Just give us a few minutes so we can share the video.
Perfect, there it is.
Thank you. Can everyone see and hear the video?
No, maybe there is a problem. If not,
Okay, if not, I can do a brief summary. Well, I've already done it. We are a company, we work with big companies to develop and help them to implement water projects to impact in the basins where they work or in the communities of their influence. As the other panelists already comment, the water crisis is a global crisis and we need local solutions and to work aligned with nature-based solutions and nature and community-based solutions in order to address this challenge. The water crisis is global, but we need to address local solutions to have a real impact in the territory. And we know water is essential for life, not only for human life, but also for the planet life, and also for business, for human development, and to create to have more food in planet and have a sustainable planet. So this is like a summary of the video. Then we can share it for all if you wish.
Yeah.
Yes. The digital videos are a general problem, I think. Okay, we can start. I would like to tell you about that we do and two projects we are doing. The first is in Brazilian Amazon and access to safe water. This is our 3 years working with native communities from Brazilian Amazon. We are working on the access to safe water to reduce child mortality caused by complication of diarrhea. Integrate collaboration of multidisciplinary teams is fundamental to address challenge. We manage to work together with private and social organizations and local public organizations. In the design water and sanitation solution, it is necessary to consider a lot of factors, including culture and technology. In Latin America, we are also working on the access to safe water. We organize workshops to wash and water care. We answer social habits of user to plan and operate water and sanitation systems effectively. We work together with private and public organizations. We have a network of local and professional organizations who are well trained in installation and handling of filter. We work with nature-based solutions. Nature-based solutions provide environmental, social, and economic benefits. Their solutions address challenges such as climate change, water security, and biodiversity. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank
Manuel and Catalina. I just wanted to check if Chris Nwanchuku is here with us. Chris, are you here?
I think he's having problems to connect. So maybe we can continue and then we come back to Chris, or he's here now. Chris?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so
Hello.
much. Yes,
Hi, Chris.
sorry. Hi, everyone.
Perfect. Just in time. So everyone, this is Chris Nwanchuku. Chris is the founder of Green Promise Initiative International, and he's an expert in water resources and water management. Chris, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the work that you do?
Okay, thank you so much. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
perfect.
Okay, that's great. So my name is Chris Nwanchuku Promise, and I'm from Nigeria. And I'm the founder and the convener of the Green Promise International. And I'm also the Ocean Literacy Coordinator for one of the endorsed programs of UNESCO IOC, ECOP program, Early Career Ocean Professional. So I've used these opportunities to be able to interact with local community and have extensive water governance and water engagement, and advocating for policies and initiatives that support sustainable use of inland waters and also of the ocean. So it's really great to be in this program today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chris. Now let's welcome Sundarajan Krishnan. He is the executive director at INREM Foundation. Welcome. We have a short video from INREM Foundation. Dice, I don't know if you can go ahead and share the video with us, and let's see if this works this time, or if not, then I'll ask Sundarajan to briefly summarize what he does, and yeah. I don't know if Sundar is here.
Sí, me Sundaraj, no, it's not here. That is.
Okay. So we can move on to Ana Romero, and then we'll come back to Sundar when he's able to join us. So Ana Romero is the president of the Indigenous Youth Union of Paraguay. She is a respected Indigenous leader of the Guarani community, one of the 19 Indigenous communities in Paraguay. She has a proven track record in fighting for the rights of Indigenous communities and has represented them in both national and international settings. She has a degree in international relations and has worked for more than 14 years in private institutions and NGOs managing projects in connection with the protection of Indigenous communities' rights. Ana, bienvenida. No sé si quieres dar unas palabras presentándote.
Sí, muy buenas tardes a todos. Siempre inicio con una frase célebre de los guaraníes que es: el agua es el principio y fin de la vida, ¿verdad? Para nosotros el agua es fundamental, entonces inicio diciendo con eso. Y creo que ya me presentaste, yo soy Ana Romero, pertenezco al pueblo guaraní, uno de los 19 pueblos indígenas existentes en Paraguay. Y tengo 14 años de trayectoria en lo que es de la lucha de los pueblos indígenas y defensora medioambiental y territorial. Entonces soy licenciada también en Relaciones Internacionales y tengo varios logros en proyectos que corresponden justamente a la defensa del medio ambiente, al cambio climático y a otros sinfines de situaciones que padecemos los pueblos indígenas, ¿verdad? Justamente en el tema más fundamental es el agua por pertenecer a nuestro territorio, la región Chaco, que es una zona justamente súper seca, árida, entonces el agua es vital para nosotros en ese aspecto, ¿verdad? Y ponemos en práctica nuestros conocimientos en eso justamente. Así que saludos a todos.
Gracias, Ana. And for everyone that's interested in what Ana just mentioned and about her presentation in general, we have dropped a translation, an English translation of her presentation to the chat so you can take a look. Okay, so now let's welcome Alejandro Dean. He is an Hecho por Nosotros partner and founder of CWalk. Welcome, Alejandro.
Hello, hello all, hola a todos.
Thank you. You wanna go ahead and introduce yourself briefly and tell us a little bit about the work that you do?
Yes, well, thank you very much for this invitation. I'm an agriculturalist and I've been working for 44 years with the Wichi and Achorote people in the Chaco, in the northwest of Argentina. And I've always tried to work in income generating activities that take the people out of dependency, and they can be independent, that they can stand up on their own feet. And for many years, I did it with crafts, with artesanía. And the last 10 years, I have been working with water. We drill wells by hand up to 28 meters, 30 meters by hand. And we also have a machine to do the work. Now we can get to 80 meters. And this has, let's say, we in all the bad news, there's bad news always with native communities. It's all bad news, infant mortality, malnutrition, let's say mother mortality, the whole thing is a disaster. It's very bad. We have 3 to 4 times infant mortality from 0 to 5 years, not 0 to 1 year where the mother feeds the baby, but once he grows. Let's say that shows you that there's a serious problem. And we have, well, good news in one sense that we can produce, if we have water, we can generate food that can fatten the babies, and they can be, the diarrhea won't kill them. And if you can produce food, then that they can sell or they can eat, and they always are very generous. They share with their family and neighbors the harvest. So it affects the whole community if you can have one pump with one family. But anyway, I don't know if I'm going too much. What is the time? How do we talk later, or is this the talk?
Yes. You'll have more time later to talk a little bit more in depth
That's
about.
a bit an introduction of what we do. Then I can go a bit further.
Want to comment that Alec Dean, he is an idol, and I learned so much and inspired Animaná and Hecho por Nosotros through his work. We have been living together in Salta so many years. So it's an honor to have you here, Alec.
Thank you, Alec. Thank you, Alec. And now let's welcome Gabriela Franzoni. She's a chemical engineer and collaborator at Hecho por Nosotros. Welcome, Gabi. You want to introduce yourself and talk briefly about the work that you do at Hecho por Nosotros?
Yeah, thank you, Ximena, and thank you, Adriana, to welcome here again. I'm part of Hecho por Nosotros, and I would like to introduce to you one of the tools that we have in the Hecho por Nosotros webpage at the university. This is one of the courses. The idea that we had with a group of volunteers is to give to the community some tools, some slides to help to understand the importance of water, the importance of taking care of what we do with water and with the effluents of the textile industry, mainly in the local communities, the rural communities that sometimes doesn't have municipal treatment of effluents. So what we have here, I will go very quickly through a small presentation to show you what we did with a group of volunteers, a group of international people from all around the world. We were working together to put in some words some basic materials for artisans and from rural people. What we did is just to explain which is the problematic. Then we went to what the water means to all of us. It's a human right. We have the right to a good water quality. And then we explain what are the main characteristics of safe water, which is the terminology for a good quality of water, what pH means, what COD, BOD, what every parameter means. And we explain which is the use of water when we prepare some clothes, what are we going to do with the water, and how we will discharge the water in order to not to contaminate the river and the lakes and the sources of to use the water for food and for drinking. And at the end, we try to explain some natural ways of cleaning the water without affecting the environment and preserving the culture and taking care of the conservation of the water. So we put together some rules to design and to construct natural wetlands, taking care of the soil and the open sources of water. And we also put some effort on explain which are the bad chemicals that we should avoid in the industry in order to not to contaminate and to come back to natural resources to produce clothes. So this is what the toolkit is about. It's available for the community, and you just need to send an email to the web page to access to the information. On the other hand, there is a long list of resources of bibliography that we were reading to produce this material, and that is also available and open for the community and for everyone that wants to learn a little more. So this was our work in the NGO, and we are very happy to open this information for the community.
Thank you. Thank you, Adri. Thank you, Gabi. Thank you, Gabi.
But well, would like to say that at Hecho por Nosotros we have so many tools uploaded at this University of Systemic Change. One of the area is for artisans, medium firms that, of course, they have all this wisdom and care about the resources, but many times when they are linked to the industry, they lost contact or they cannot care their own rights and their own welfare. So important in this capacity building that we go with the community, working hand by hand with a group of collaborators in so many areas, as how to create from a home business, a social entrepreneur in the community, how to work together, design different elements of traceability, transparency, of how they can grow stage by stage their business model, their proposal. Of course, design with intention, how this, let's say, link, bridge with the market can be implemented. And one of the themes, of course, is water, because many of the factories are their own homes, yes? So many times children are part, etc. So all these tools in their hands with all these company of the Hecho por Nosotros team are so valuable in order to create local business integrated to the market, many times with Animana, many times with other firms. So I want to be so thankful to Gabi and thousands of professionals around the world that co-create solutions with the community, understand together their problems, and go ahead in this dialogue in order to make it easy, the journey of this capacity building and Hecho por Nosotros, and integrate, collaborating to the acceleration of the sustainable development goals, yes? Because many times this agenda is a report, is a theme of a professional far from local people. When you go there, Although there are so many resources, international cooperation, so many foundations, they are alone. And change makers locally, tools in their hands can make this systemic change happen, but this should be made collaborative and all of us should be part. So we are so honored at Hecho por Nosotros of collaborating in this journey and welcome all. Thank you.
Thank you, Adri, and thank you, Gabi. I just saw that Sunder has joined. Sunder, I don't know if you're here. You want to go ahead and briefly introduce yourself, and then we'll share the video during the panel speech, if that's okay with you. So we can just manage time.
Sure. I'll just briefly introduce myself. Apologies, I couldn't join earlier. Glad to be here on this extraordinary event that you're organizing as a side event to the UN Water. My name is Sundar Rajan, and I'm happy to represent the entire body of work which is being done by so many wonderful people in India on water and indigenous communities. And I look forward to learning a lot from all of you here and also contributing. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sunder, and thank you, panelists, for those introductions. It's amazing to see the range of expertise and experience that we have on this panel. And now let's move on to the panelist discussion. Our first panelist is Craig. He will be sharing more about how we can clean up our waterways and ocean in the urban environment using existing stormwater infrastructure. Craig, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much. Look, a little bit about myself. I'm a qualified motor mechanic and heavy rigger by trade, which is a little bit unusual because most people in disruptive technologies are engineers. But I have spent 10 years in the dredging industry, which when you look at the cycle of contamination, rain falls on the land, the water then runs down the drains, runs into the water bodies and contaminates it all. But what we were digging up from deepening harbours is what I'm seeing in drains 30 years later. So when we talk, so that's just a little bit of history about myself. But as I said in my speech, when we look at water contamination from the natural environment, the earth has processed it perfectly for millions of years. We've come along and in 100 years, drastically contaminated everything that we've been a part of. Now, if we go back to the Indigenous communities who are out in the wilderness and dealing with water and water contamination issues, what I would like to do, because I do not have much experience in this field, and I'm putting it to the audience, that if I can help in any way with this technology, I'm extremely interested. This is the first step in primary high flow to fine particle capture filtration in over 70 years. So it's not just about stormwater, it's about process water. It's about dewatering. Tailings dams is something that we're starting to look at now seriously. Looking at radioactive scale capture. We've actually done a thesis with this. When we wash out equipment that has radioactive scale, we can capture it and the radiation. So if there is anybody who has any questions or would like any information about our technology, I'm here to help, and we as a team are here to help. So we're 15 years in, and as science is telling us, we've got about 10 years to drastically cut waterway and ocean contamination. So we're looking for partners, and we're looking for people who are interested in helping. And look, a big shout out to Chris. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be a part of this today. Thanks, mate. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Craig. I just have a follow-up question, and if you can first, like, briefly summarize how could you describe stormwater in one line, if that's possible? I know it's a complex theme, but just so we can grasp our heads around the concept.
Okay, so when we settle land, when we build cities, towns, we cover the land in impermeable surfaces to the amount of about 70%. So that means the water that falls on the urban environment becomes surface runoff. Now, the only way we can build cities is we have to have stormwater infrastructure. So when you look in the gutters or the curbs, you'll see a hole or you'll see a grate drain. That is the only way you can settle land. You have to put this massive infrastructure in the ground and everything goes in there, from water to plastics, cigarette butts, vegetation, hydrocarbons, heavy metals, tire rubber, you name it, it all goes down the drain. But what happens in the drain is what's killing the ocean. And that is the vegetative waste breaks down anaerobically, like in a mulch pit in your backyard. And then what happens is when it rains, the water falls into the drain, stirs it all up like a washing machine, releases the hydrocarbons, the heavy metals, the phosphorus, the nitrogen, and it is a highly toxic water mixed with physical waste that then goes down the pipe to the next drain, where the same process is happening, and then the next drain and the next drain and so on. To put some numbers to this so it makes sense, Australia, we're only a population of 25 million. We've got 20 million drains. Of that, 2 million are directly connected to high-value water environments. I've just come back from LA, where I presented in LA, and they have 27% more land mass than Australia, but 350 million people and 270 million drains, all unprotected. Now, there is this message that is going out into the media that says the third world countries are responsible for the plastics in the ocean. They're responsible for all of our problems. It's actually not correct, because every drain that's ever been installed in Europe, US, anywhere in the world is open to the elements. So it's become a rubbish bin that empties into the ocean every time it rains. So developed nations have a huge responsibility to step up and assist the developing nations and the Indigenous communities. It's not their problem. We, as developed nations, are creating most of the issues. The funny thing is, and it's not funny, but the funny thing about this whole thing is that plastic has got the focus. Plastic, yes, is killing the ocean, but it's the sediments, it's the chemicals that are coming out of stormwater. And then you add agricultural sediments and chemicals, and then you add sewer and chemicals. So we have to, and Adriana said it before, we have to completely rethink how we are going to approach moving forward from here. And we've got 10 years to do it. So Adriana, I've actually met with one of the heads of the Italian fashion industry, and they've taken it on very seriously, the fact that they are such major polluters. And that is fantastic. People are now finally standing up and saying, our industry is responsible. Well, let's look at infrastructure, not just industry, because infrastructure is a major component of our problem.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg. So important. And I would like to comment. The main theme is how we in the South that we are receiving all this waste. If we talk of the fashion industry, just have a look at this note of World Economic Forum. The information is around for so many years, yes? And now that everything is in a limit point, the industry is beginning to talk. I really think we have to go to a totally systemic change, because also the greenwashing monster that the same industry is creating is so big without any commitment with all the responsible of the big companies. We have been working part of programs. They are so unsustainable in themselves. And they are not, of course, they are part of this system and they want just to put the finger and hide the sun. Yes, so our responsibility as human beings around the world to tackle this theme together. So many solutions are available. How we can co-create, collaborate with strength without going to the system. The system will dive alone. So important your words and your work and this intention of being collaborating. I think we deserve, nature is collaborative. We are nature. We lost that contact. So we are in a key moment. I see so many young professionals and young of spirit as me working on solutions. So let's push it and continue, and thank you so much.
Could I just add one thing? I saw it with the previous presentation about the natural environment and using nature-based solutions. I totally agree. I think the pit and pipe stormwater system that we've installed around the world is not the way to go. The problem is that it costs too much money to dig it up. So what we have to do is we are using things like water-sensitive urban design, living streams, swales. These are all fantastic ways to get rainfall into the ground. But there's one problem that most people are overlooking, and that is when you all go home, have a look in the gutter on the drive home. Have a look how much waste is actually sitting there. When you add all of that up and you have, say, a certain amount of runoff into a nature-based solution, all of that waste will go there and it will block that up. And these nature-based solutions are generally failing after 12 months. So what we're saying is, and I'm working with the American Landscape Architects Association, International Erosion Control Association, a number of entities around the world. What we need to do is incorporate at-source treatment with the existing infrastructure, and then that water goes into nature-based solutions. There's no point putting highly toxic water back into the ground. We've already contaminated the crap out of, we've contaminated the crap out of groundwater already. And the overuse of groundwater has now got to the point where in many cities around the world, we're seeing land subsidence. And this is so severe, and science is now learnt that when you suck all the water out of the land, you can't fill it back up again because the land collapses like plates on top of each other. So you can pump as much water in there as you can. Once that aquifer is saline, contaminated or dry, that's it, you're done.
It's done,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, so we've got all this water. And I'll finish on this. I live in Perth in Western Australia, which is the driest, most remote, most sprawled city in the world. We get 700 millimetres of rain per year. That equates to 700 litres per square metre that is currently washing down the drain, being transformed into a contaminated wastewater, killing everything it touches. And all we're going to do is capture the waste and filter the water as it enters the system. It's that simple.
Yeah, this is a good example, yes, to the youth, to tell how the solutions are in front of us, no?
Yes.
And how stupid is this system, and how a tremendous, like a bubble construct in order not to go for solutions for the environment and people. So thank you so much for all this.
Yes, thank you, Craig. And picking up on nature-based solutions. Next, we have Manuel and Catalina from Proyecto Aguas Seguras, who will be sharing a little bit about the importance of working with local communities, organizations, and local governments in the implementation of these nature-based solutions to improve water access and water quality.
Thank you very much. Excellent panels and speakers here. We have been learning a lot. So yes, from Proyecto Agua Segura, our base focus is to work on nature-based solutions and on community-based solutions. We work along big companies in alliance with local governments and local NGOs and different organizations that work in each territory where we develop a water access or a water impact project. We try to first understand that community, to understand the problem that is in the ecosystem and in the territory, to address the best solutions that converse with the community and with nature. For example, we have been working in the north of Brazil, in the Amazonas indigenous communities, implementing a technology that assures them to have access to safe water. Many of these communities drink water from the river, and this causes a lot of diseases, as you can imagine. Technology can be first an impact for these communities, but when we first understand how they live, how are their culture and their habits, we introduce the best technology for that community. So we have a first conversation with the community and with local organizations that introduce us to the community, and we explain and have workshops where we introduce this easy technology, and they adapt them. They understand that technology is good for them. We also develop workshops, WASH workshops, to address them the importance of safe water for their health and for hygiene. In other types of projects where we want to impact in water quality and water quantity of a basin, we try to develop ancestral methodologies, just like terrace or rainwater harvesting or some other methods that indigenous people used many years ago. And luckily, these kind of solutions are seen more oftenly in our projects and in projects of other companies and other organizations too. So I think we are in a good path collaborating. We try to collaborate with private sector, or social organizations and local governments using new technologies and also old methodologies to have a good use of water management, not only for the planet, but also for the health.
Thank you, Catalina. I don't know if Manuel wants to share anything or has any additional remarks.
No, it's good.
Okay, thank you, Catalina and Manuel. And now we're moving on to Chris. He will be discussing about the importance of water resources and water management, taking into account the ancestral practice of indigenous communities. Chris, you can go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Samina. Thank you, Adriana, and the other speakers that has been able to give some contributions on, especially on nature-based solutions for water conservation. Now, first of all, we have to ask ourselves, who truly owns water? Who truly owns water? And we can see that water does not have any individual owner, of course. So you can see most individuals, entities that are saying they have legal rights over the use of water over this portion of the ocean or this portion of the river in some areas, but truly that no one owns water. So in many countries, government hold the whole legal responsibilities of managing water resources, allocating water rights and regulations, and around the water usage. But let's ask ourselves this: how about the indigenous people who have long-standing relationship and a specific relationship with specific body of water? Now, these people are the ones that should own the water. They should have the true rights of owning the water. So now let's get to this resource and how efficient some of the water usages has been. Several things that indigenous people have used water for over the years. Now, we find out that one of them is on the irrigation systems. And of course, when this water is deprived from indigenous people, what happens? They are unable to use the water for their irrigation systems. And you find several multinational corporations who have these big farms. They are able to reduce the water usage that the indigenous people need to use to access waters for their subsistence farming, just like the ones which we have in West Africa here. Now, another thing there is water pollution. Water pollution is one of the adverse effects when I go to indigenous communities in the Niger Delta region of Nigeria, where we have companies like the Shell Petroleum, we have Chevron, we have the Total companies there. They actually pollute the water systems of these people, and these people do not have a way of getting the clean water for domestic use and also for other usage of that. And in fact, it also kills the natural body of the water, of the natural system of the water. Now, we now talk about how they have been managing to get to the best of water that they can use for all their systems is through rainwater harvesting. Now, of course, the indigenous people have developed lots of ideas where they see that water is no longer getting to them as at when due, so they have interest in rainwater connection. But due to climate change, these things have changed over the years because of the irregular amounts of rainfall in certain regions. So they tend to have this thing they call a reservoir. This reservoir happen to get into deep. They get this rainwater stored in high quantity, so they can be able to get access to the water needs of their communities. So water in the indigenous space is a very vital source for life, and effective water management for sustaining is effective for sustaining both our ecosystem and human society. Of course, we don't want to have a situation where we start having our wars will be centered on water. I pray that such a day never comes where wars will be centered on water. But however, many regions around the world are facing scarcity, pollution, and degradations due to human activities and climate change. In fact, climate change has compounded this whole issue. So this makes it necessary to adopt innovative and sustainable approaches to water management and balance the ESG needs of water: ecological, social, and economic. Now, indigenous communities, just like I said, have developed sophisticated and effective water management practices over the years based on their deep understanding of the natural world and their spiritual consciousness to both the land and the water. And these practices often involved community-led decisions and the traditional ecological knowledge. And in fact, scientists and people who have worked within the indigenous people have said that these approaches are very holistic, and they connect, they have this interconnection with all the life forms. And both to species that all species that need it and biomes and the floras that are around. So if we are to have effective water-led system, we need to recognize and respect the ancestral practice of indigenous water communities and management, and learn from their wisdom and experience to co-create effective and sustainable solutions that will benefit human society. So we have to do a lot of partnership, and that's why we are here to develop this partnership. We're here to develop these tools that will have effective decision makings and process that will affect water management. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for your everyday work that is so inspiring and so important, because really emotion and connects with values, solutions, and it's an honor to have you here. Thank you.
Yes, and it's also important to always bear in mind that when we're talking about the impact of water management, it has a real impact in real people. And these communities, these indigenous communities, mostly don't have the resources to find alternatives. They have to move to other regions. They lack resources to do that. And they have their cosmology and their worldview of water is not the same as ours. They don't see it as just something that is there. They see it as the beginning and end of their life. And picking up on this, Ana Romero, she will share her insights as a member of the Guarani indigenous community in Paraguay about how they see this cosmology and worldview of water in the indigenous community. Ana, vamos a proyectar tu presentación y si quieres guiarnos un poco por la presentación. And everyone, we have a translation of Anna's presentation in the chat. You can look it up and so you can see what Ana is describing. Ana, puedes empezar cuando quieras.
Sí, bueno, yo creo que la mayoría de los panelistas ya están abordando la problemática, ¿verdad? Y más también lo que afecta a todo a los pueblos indígenas a nivel Latinoamérica y por qué no a nivel mundial también, ¿verdad? Solamente la cosmovisión guaraní y la cosmovisión de los pueblos indígenas del Chaco, donde justamente el tema del agua es vital, es significativo, ¿verdad? Uno por la condición geográfica, ambiental y territorial, y también donde justamente de los 19 pueblos indígenas que existimos en Paraguay, 12 están ubicadas en el Gran Chaco americano, Chaco paraguayo en este caso. Y bueno, y justamente lo que más atravesamos y contribuimos por sobre todo porque la territorialidad en el Chaco es netamente ganadería, ¿verdad? Y las comunidades indígenas estamos rodeadas por todo ello, ¿verdad? Entonces, lo que justamente nos movemos como una vida nómada buscando justamente agua, el acceso al agua potable, ¿verdad? Y la escasez justamente propicia todo eso, ¿verdad? Vivir continuamente en modo nómada, muchos pueblos indígenas, ¿verdad? Y las cosmovisiones de varios pueblos tiene en varias aristas. Por ejemplo, en el pueblo ayoreo, por dar un ejemplo, se atribuye mucho lo que es la cuestión de la festividad, ¿verdad? De la práctica ceremonial para un llamado justamente a llamar a agua cuando hay tiempos de sequía, ¿verdad? Hacen sus ceremonias, festividad en este caso, y el elemento fundamental justamente es el agua, ¿verdad? Y en los guaraníes, por ejemplo, tenemos mucho lo que es relacionamiento con todo el idioma en sí, ¿verdad? Culturalmente, el pueblo guaraní utiliza mucho el que es agua en castellano, en guaraní, Y bueno, y complementa con varias otras palabras como, por ejemplo, ibu, que en castellano es tierra, ibutú, que es en castellano sería viento, aire. Y bueno, la palabra justamente es fundamental, ¿verdad? Porque simboliza toda la existencia de todo lo que es lo que nos rodea como territorio, como tierra y propiamente como vida, ¿verdad? Entonces, todo desde esa como visión para nosotros los pueblos indígenas, siguiente, ¿verdad? Nos lleva muchas veces a la situación de que vivimos con necesidades también. Con todos los conocimientos que tenemos, justamente los gobiernos que nos imponen políticas públicas no son acordes, entonces nos llevan a proyectos como de políticas públicas, grandes proyectos que al final no funcionan como tal, ¿verdad? Como el caso del acueducto, ¿verdad? Que gran noticia fue para el país y al final no funcionó, ¿verdad? Que iba a ser la solución a tanta demanda de la necesidad del agua en las comunidades indígenas, ¿verdad? Pero al final no nos sirvió como tal, ¿verdad? Entonces volvemos otra vez al retroceso de complementar nuestras prácticas y vivir de nuestras prácticas buscando agua, refugiándonos en elementos que tenemos también en los bosques, ¿verdad? Por ejemplo, hay plantas que albergan agua y eso para nosotros es súper importante porque a través de ello justamente también sobrevivimos, ¿verdad? Y al cual accedemos, ¿verdad? Y otras plantas que utilizamos justamente para descontaminar los pocos ríos, arroyos que tenemos acceso, ¿verdad? Porque como nuestra población, nuestra región es netamente ganadera, los desechos de frigoríficos muchas veces se van y terminan en los ríos, ¿verdad? Entonces las comunidades indígenas utilizan justamente el entorno territorial, los bosques, como plantas de camalotes, esponja, para reducir todas esas contaminaciones y poder nosotros utilizar como agua potable para nuestra subsistencia, ¿verdad? Y muchos factores más que tenemos y que estamos contribuyendo, ¿verdad? Desde el conocimiento y más hechos por mujeres, ¿verdad? Porque las mujeres justamente somos lo que mantenemos la cultura, la identidad y por sobre todo afrontando las situaciones problemáticas de toda una sociedad.
Okay. O sea, al final del día otra vez son los pueblos indígenas los que tienen que buscar soluciones dentro de lo que es su cultura a lo que son problemas externos que tendrían que venir de políticas públicas que realmente funcionen para resguardar sus derechos y el derecho que tienen ustedes a que se resguarde la utilización del agua y más otra vez lo esencial, considerando lo esencial que es eso para ustedes.
Sí,
Para ustedes y para
todos.
para todos,
para
¿no?
todos.
Y bueno, creo que es el momento de aprender que no podemos seguir delegando y que no podemos esperar, que realmente, así como hablamos del sistema, el cambio de sistema en distintas industrias, tenemos que hablar de este cambio de sistema en nuestra organización, con mucho más confianza en nosotros mismos, en colaborar, en reunirnos y seguir co-creando las verdaderas soluciones. Para eso se necesita este compromiso y este commitment, ¿no? De todos los días. Así que felicitaciones y realmente es admirable y también es como que da como, te hierve la sangre, ¿no? De la rabia que da. Yo digo a veces, ¿qué pasa con el poder? ¿Qué pasa con los políticos que pierden el alma cuando son elegidos? ¿No es cierto? Las grandes empresas, lo mismo. ¿Cuándo vamos a dejar de tener un sombrero para trabajar, para ser empresario y volvamos a ser seres humanos en esta total plenitud para crear este cambio sistémico? Gracias, Ana.
Gracias, Ana. And thank you, Ana. If anyone is interested in learning more about Anna's work, please reach out to her. We will share her email and LinkedIn to all of you. So just for all of us to know, we have 10 minutes left in the event. So Sunder, I would ask you to please, if it's possible for you to summarize your work, how you work with women from indigenous communities who are championing the cause of conserving water, and just be mindful of the time, and so we can give time to questions from the audience.
Sure, Gisela, I'll just do that. Maybe I'll just take 2 minutes to just briefly share. So I work in India, and when I interact with indigenous communities, then I feel that I'm an outsider. And my work began around 15 years back, trying to see how technologies can actually go out and help people to save them from contaminated water. But over the years, what I realized was that yes, solutions, science, and technologies that we as outsiders may offer people definitely help over time. But what is our role in all of this as outsiders? Is it a role that we play as a listener to what lives that people live, to help steer them towards finding answers to situations that they are in, and helping as much as we can to find solutions that we may all collectively think as sustainable. And here I feel that indigenous people come with a lot of insight and understanding about their own immediate environment. And in our journey, we realize that there are so many solutions hidden, they are invisible. And what is our role as outsiders to make this invisible visible? I'll pause here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunder, and thank you everyone and all of the panelists for sharing their experiences and their work and the important things that they're doing with us. We've covered a lot of topics, so I'm sure that the audience has questions. So if you want to go ahead and drop your questions in the chat, or also feel free to raise your hand and ask the questions directly to the panelists. And we'll have 2 minutes for the Q&As. So just go ahead.
Don't be shy.
So I don't know if I'm just checking the chat to see if anyone has sent any questions there, or just feel free to unmute yourself and address the panelists directly with your questions.
Come on, everybody, stop being so shy.
Sorry. A few questions that shared in the chat.
Greg, you have one question at the chat.
Oh, I have a question.
You want
radiation out of water. Okay. I'll give you a couple of examples, and this affects countries around the world. If you look at process plants for mining or for production, they all have a certain life expectancy, and that can be generally around 30, 40 years. Those plants then sit and they can't pull them apart. They can't protect the environment from their leaking anymore, because all minerals have radioactive elements in it. And what happens is the equipment, the pipes, the process tanks, all of these things over a long decades of use build up a scale inside the equipment, and that scale is radioactive. So we've come across some big global companies. I won't mention the name, but biggest mineral sands production plant in the world. It's been sitting since 2012 they went to scrap it. The truck took off to the scrap yard and it set all the radiation alarms off. So what they asked us to do was see if we can remove the scale, capture it, which we've done successfully, and that's been proven in a thesis through Edith Cowan University here in Perth. So it's radioactive scale in process plants. Another one that I've just been had an inquiry on is when you attach a oil and gas well to a process plant, those pipes, generally around 300 mil, anywhere from 700 mil to 23 kilometres long. They have a life expectancy. After that life expectancy is finished, they actually dump that pipe on the seabed and it sits there because the scale that builds up on the inside of the pipe is highly radioactive. And we're working with a company to try and bring a solution to that. Our material is a 4 millimetre thick geotextile. Actually looks like this. This is my first invention, the world's first plug that allows water and air to flow in both directions. But 1 square metre of this material has been proven to process just over 3,000 litres per minute, filtering to 63 micron, which is about 1/8 the size of a grain of sand. So wow. we are a big advancement in water filtration. So I'm happy to look at most things because we have quite a range of different applications that we're now moving forward with.
Yeah, thank you, Craig. And please reach out to Craig directly if you have any further questions. Let's just give Alec 2 minutes to provide a conclusion on his work and what he does. And then we'll go ahead and wrap up the event. So Alec, you have 2 minutes. If you could just keep it short so we can then address our audience and panelists.
I would like to mention, as our objective is to produce food, is that there is very useful technology for native communities, very useful, and it's drip irrigation. And I would suggest anybody doing agriculture in any community that you have to use the water in a responsible way, and drip irrigation is the best way to do that. That's one technology that can be used in all native communities. The other one that exists also is that you can look for water with electricity. You can analyze the area you want to try before making a well with electricity that you send down, and then a computer tells you how much conductivity. The more conductivity, the more salty the water. So anyway, we have this, what we call the production unit, which means that you look for the water, you can have all the place. It has to have a fencing. It's got to have drip irrigation, and then native teachers. We work all in the native language in 3 main crops, which is maize, pumpkins, and beans. And the main crop, which is maize, corn, it can you can work with seed that the caterpillar doesn't eat. So this is sort of criticized in one sense because it's modified genetically, but it's the best invention for tropical
Oh, sorry. Oh. Alex.
Anyway, I don't know if I've overdone it. So
No, just a few last words, but thank you so much for this great work, and so beautiful to see all these faces, and thank you for your work and your presentation.
no, thank you all for inviting me. Thank you, Marina. Thank you.
Okay, so, well, I think we are finishing, and let's say again to rethink our role as human beings. The new system we have to co-create in a totally transdisciplinary way, transcending all these barriers and this system that we have been living, and it's so stupid. No, we have to recognize we are doing stupid things every day, and there is so much near. The solutions are there. We have to connect with nature, with this solution, and water is wisdom. No, in all the ancestral theories, is from water that life was born, and we as human, we are killing the water. So crazy what we are doing. So I think there is a new opportunity we are having. We are tackling all the presence. We are doing this journey for this systemic change. Let's go for more collaboration to integrate. So important to bring power, and this power should be related to local business as well, because all other areas comes together. Yes, so I am so grateful for today, and give you a special thank to each of the speakers and of the present, and give the voice to Jimena to close the event. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Adri. We also want to take this opportunity to announce the commitment that Hecho por Nosotros has towards the water action agenda of the United Nations, and let all of you know that we will continue to work towards sustainable water management in collaboration with Indigenous communities. And we encourage all of the participants to really take action and collaborate with Indigenous communities in water management, because it is through our collaborative and collective efforts that we can achieve a sustainable future. Thanks again to the panelists and every one of you who participated for sharing your knowledge and your time. And just to let you know that we appreciate all of you being here, and we enjoyed our time with you today. Thank you.
Sí, les puedo prender la cámara, así.
¿Perdón?
Saquemos una foto.
¿Perdón? Sí, les puedo.
Saquemos una foto.
Okay, let's just 1 second. We'll take a quick picture of everyone here.
If you would like to open the cameras, can be right.
So camera is on, so we can take a picture of everyone. Dice, me avisas cuando ya esté, entonces. No worries for the ones that are that can't do that. This is just for, sharing for a record. Yeah.
It's okay, Jimmy. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you everyone. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. See you
Bye-bye.
soon.
Thank
Bye.
you. Nice to see
Thank
you
you.
again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.